The Federation Council is the upper house of the Federal Assembly of Russia. The council holds its sessions within the main building on Bolshaya Dmitrovka Street in Moscow, the former home of the Soviet State Building Agency, with further officers and committee rooms located on Novy Arbat Street. The two houses of the Federal Assembly are physically separated, with the State Duma residing in another part of Moscow on Okhotny Ryad Street. Sessions of the Federation Council take place in Moscow from January 25 to July 15, and from September 16 to December 31. Sessions are open to the public, although the location of sessions can change if the Federation Council so desires, and secure closed sessions may be convoked. For purposes of succession, the chairman of the Federation Council is the third highest position in the Russian Federation, after the President and the Prime Minister. In the case of incapacity of the President and Prime Minister, the chairman of the Federation Council becomes acting President of the Russian Federation. The modern history of the Federation Council begins during the 1993 constitutional crisis that pitted President Boris Yeltsin's unpopular neoliberal and governmental structure reforms against the increasingly radical Congress of People's Deputies, the nation's legislature. Throughout the year, the Congress had grown increasingly dissatisfied with Yeltsin and his cabinet's management of the floundering Russian economy, as well as with its plans for a new constitution for the Russian Federation to replace the Soviet-era 1978 Russian SFSR constitution still in effect. In the midst of the increasingly tense crisis, on September 21, Yeltsin issued Presidential Decree No. 1400. The decree effectively scrapped constitutional reform then presently in discussion, as well as legally dissolving the Congress of People's Deputies, ordering its replacement with an entirely new federal legislative structure, and granting the president increased executive powers. Following a war of words and acts of defiance from both sides, President Yeltsin abruptly ended the governmental power struggle by ordering the Russian army to bombard and storm the White House of Russia, the legislative building, between October 2 to 4, 1993. Following the crushing of the Congress of People's Deputies and other members of the federal and territorial governments who had initially supported what he viewed as a rebellious legislature, Yeltsin proceeded to present a new constitution. With the events of 1993 very much in mind, Yeltsin drafted a constitution that called for increased executive branch powers in prime ministerial appointments, veto overrides, and a stronger executive security council. The constitution also called for the creation of a bicameral federal assembly, consisting of a State Duma and a Federation Council. Although a Federation Council had been created by Yeltsin in July 1993 to gather regional representatives to support an earlier draft of a replacement constitution to the 1978 document, this Federation Council was to become a permanent part of the legislature. The procedure of formation of the Federation Council by elections held according to the majority system was defined by Presidential Decrees No. 1626 from October 11, 1993, on elections to the Council of Federation of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, and No. 1846 from November 6, 1993, on specification to the resolution on elections of deputies to the State Duma and resolution on elections of deputies to the Council of Federation of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation in 1993. Similar to the United States Senate, the Federation Council would consist of 2 representatives from each of Russia's federal subjects. Unlike the State Duma, which consisted of hundreds of districts across the nation, the Federation Council was to act as more or less the voice of Russia's federated subdivisions. Early debate on its creation centered on whether or not the Federation Council should be elected at all, to solve some problems on the Council's first scheduled election in December. Yeltsin issued Presidential Decree No. 1628 on October 11, stipulating that candidates for the first elections needed at least 2%, or 25,000 signatures, whichever was highest, of their oblast, republic, krai, autonomous okrug, or federal city population. This helped previous territorial elites remain within national politics. The decree also stipulated a single term of 2 years before new elections in 1995. The council's first elections were held on December 12, 1993, simultaneously with State Duma elections and a referendum on the new constitution of the Russian Federation. With the constitution now in effect after its successful passage, elections for the council were to be franchised solely to territorial authorities, with one senator elected from the subject's legislature, and the other by the subject's executive branch. This later was codified in 1